think what you can see behind us in the stream here, we did this work a couple years ago. Stream restoration work, there was, but beyond just stream restoration, because it was also infrastructure protection. Our trail was falling into the stream. There was an exposed utility pipe over here. What you can't even really see behind me is that there was also a storm drain outfall back there that was in disrepair. And so we came in and did, a lot of work, not just for the stream, but also for those, infrastructure components. And with that, we planted a bunch of trees. You can see down there we had a little bit more room. You can see some of those sycamores. The willows that you see were actually, even the large willow there, was actually live stakes, which are, just 3 foot long cuttings. So some of those were very successful. This is open right here because we did come in and make a small repair on this ripple right here just in the last couple weeks. So this is a little bit more raw, right where we're standing. But overall, we've had good tree establishment come in. Obviously, one thing we want to talk with you guys about is how you can help lending a hand, with some of the vines that creep back in on some of these trees. We do have maintenance and warranty periods with our contractors, but they don't last forever. So eventually, that period is over, and so there won't be any further tree replacement, and there won't be further maintenance per a contract after a couple of years. So that's when it's great, if we can partner with our weed warriors to help us do some of that maintenance to keep these trees viable and growing for the long term. And then we can walk up there a little bit where we did some very recent stream restoration work that was also connected to our bridge replacement up there that you may have noticed, a nice new bridge. And we literally just planted this within the last 10 days, the trees and shrubs there. And one thing that you may notice is that generally the tree protection strategy is a little bit different, and we can talk about that a little bit. We're generally using, as you can see there, just 4 posts around the trees to prevent basically the bucks rubbing on the branches, and that's for a few different reasons. I'm trying to get away from as much of the metal within the floodplain because they can catch debris, and that can literally crush the trees, and also it a lot of times ends up within the stream during flood events. So we also use a different method called biobark, but you won't see that out here right now, but that's a different biodegradable method of tree protection.
So you're going to try to retrofit some of this stuff that's got the wire things?
We aren't going to retrofit any of it. Once we deem these trees successful enough, it will be removed, possibly with your help.
Okay.
Do a stream restoration. We go in and we remove all the aquatic life that we can. We do electrofishing like we do for our safe plane. So we remove them. So 5 species. In Sligo we typically get more than that. But 5 species, honestly, for long branch, is pretty good these days. And long-nosed dace was pretty exciting. We know it's in here, but we don't see it quite as often. The eels were pretty nice. The eels were a few feet long, which is pretty cool to see. So that was nice to see.
What we're currently working on in here and what our future goals are. We've started addressing the Long Branch Initiative. So we started at Wayne and we're heading south through SBU2. Right now we're just doing Woody N and I because the ground cover is quite extensive, so we'll have to have a planting plan before we leave it all bare. But our goal is to move down this way, keep moving south, and then we'll start working on any N&I we encounter as we move here. We will probably be here for the foreseeable future, coming in once or twice a year and doing work. But we will move through these and help Jackie and Doug and their team maintain these over time. We estimated, I think I told you, 2 to 3 years before we probably get down to here. We did about 5 acres in SVU2, and any day now the contractor should return and probably finish up to, what was that, Piney Branch? Piney Branch south of there? All the way to Piney Branch.
After Purple Line's done?
Woody in and out.
I don't think it's waiting till after Purple Line.
No, we're
done.
not. Yeah, we're not waiting for Purple Line.
Do you want to wait? Should we wait till the end of Purple Line?
I don't, they make a mess.
Also, I've noticed
We're not planting anything right there right now.
on the area by the past Houston where there's a playground, there's a ton of Allianthus, and there's just more and more and more of it popping up. And then I've also found lantern slides. there. Are we allowed to just go in and not saw it down?
That's just going to trigger it to spread more.
Mm.
So if we haven't come across it yet, when we do, we will treat it.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Paint it.
Yep.
Cut and paint.
Or we just spray the bark and then it seeps in.
Oh yeah, right.
Yeah.
Great,
Yep.
good.
Strip bark.
Basil bark.
Basil bark.
Yep.
And that is where you would expect to see the lanternflies.
Yep.
Right, that's what I knew. I
Yeah.
just so.
You can switch those if you want.
Yeah.
Were all four of you guys familiar with this site before the restoration, or
A little bit.
a little bit? Like
We've
this area-
worked here. yeah.
Okay, yeah, like so you know how covered it was. I've got some
Yeah.
good before and after pictures of the
It
work.
was smothered in porcelain.
Yeah.
Like
You
the
couldn't even see
stream
the stream.
Yeah, right.
like just
Yeah.
get covered from both sides of it. So.
Yeah. So I mean, it's we're definitely at a point where like if we can maintain it, like we're doing, you know, a lot of clearing happens. So if we can kind of keep it
Unrecognizable.
keep it at bay, now's our chance.
And
'cause
let these
a lot of
trees
it was
grow
cut
up,
back.
right, and kind of reform that canopy,
Yeah.
because shade is going to be one of
So
our
important.
biggest tools as we move forward. And also, that's what we try. That's why we want to plant so many of these larger trees to get them going. Is shade on that stream too, because that's so beneficial for the aquatic ecology as well.
So there aren't many oaks being planted, is that correct?
One over there.
There are
You're doing swamp bike.
a few oaks of various species. Usually down in an area like this, you would see the swamp white oaks being planted. But so yes, but it's not necessarily a primary tree that we're planting all the time. But we definitely are planting oaks.
Yeah, I mean, we think a lot about the planting plans that we're putting together for a project, and for stream restoration. A lot of times, right near the stream, we want to get things that are going to grow, provide shade, grow quickly, have roots that are going to hold the bank together. There are times where we look more toward habitat value for things like oaks, where we can fill in, and we definitely add those in to add some variety. But on projects like this, where we're trying to really look at stabilization and getting plants on the banks, we are looking at some of those early successional trees like sycamores and
River birch
willows,
too?
river
Lots of
birch.
river birch.
Yep.
What, red mulberry, would that do well here?
We don't plant mulberry, or at least I haven't
We
put
don't
any on
plant
our.
mulberry.
They hybridize with white ivy.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, and we also have to plant trees that we can get large quantities of. So we often
Nobody's growing.
have great ideas about what species we would want to plant,
Right.
and then they're not commercially available.
Box elder, for
Right.
example.
Well, we've been pushing
Yeah.
on that one a bit.
Good.
We've been getting more and more box elder.
That's great.
Which most people are like, why are we planting box elder? But like Jackie just said, it can be an ideal tree for the exact locations
Yeah,
that we're working.
Absolutely, very tough,
Yeah.
self-seeds, very
Yep.
well.
Yeah.
Durable.
And we have made
One of my
inroads.
favorites.
Yeah, we've made inroads with
Good.
Pope Farm, our nursery, to be able to help kind of keep a deeper list and inventory of the trees that we need for restoration, which are a little bit different than what we would plant in a recreational park or something like that, which is what their inventory has been tailored to in the past.
That's great.
Yeah.
Nice evolution.
Yeah. So we can walk up
Yep.
this way a little bit, able to remove a little bit of pipe, obviously create a new end section there, and it's not, that's more of a facility on the other side. This is more of an informal structure, kind of just leaning into kind of the natural wetland vegetation in there. We created a little bit of a what you would call a plunge pool right there. Then it has a couple different wetland cells before it flows in.
Right.
Into the stream. So just trying to enhance that time that the water takes from the pipe into the stream, get as much filtering through the vegetation as we can.
Yeah.
Storm
You gonna throw
drains
some frogs in there?
I'm sure they're in there. I'm sure their frogs are in there. We actually have, it's hard to see from here, but we actually had we have emergent vegetation coming in on its own that we didn't plant.
Oh, good.
We typically plant, things like juncus and sedges and
Right.
things like that around the edge. And then because these plants, sometimes you don't know exactly how wet these systems will be. This one ended up being very wet because evidently this is a piped stream. So there's always a source of flow coming in here. But we actually had some emergent vegetation coming in, and we will be adding some emergent vegetation here shortly to kind of lean into that a little bit.